In this video, you will see how to assemble the lock barrel kit for the Honda NT1100 pannier set. The part number for this kit is 08M70-MJE-D03. In the kit you will receive various parts, one of which is the barrel itself, which has no pins installed, it's blank. First of all, just check your key fits into the barrel and can be inserted and removed easily with no issues. In the kit you also get a lot of springs. You get about 10 small springs and you get 2 large springs. The small springs you only need 8 of to complete the barrel, and you need 2 of the large springs also. The large springs are for the primary pin and the lock pin. You also get a selection of pins. You have 2 primary pins, you have 1 lock pin, and you have 6 different types of standard pin which are used in various combinations to match your key to the barrel assembly. You need to get a bit of cardboard or paper and just draw this diagram that you can see here, and also you need to put one of each of the pins in a location where you can find it easily while you make up the barrel. Now here we have 6 pins from 1 to 6. We have the lock pin and also 2 primary pins, and not forgetting the 2 final items, which is the large spring and the small spring. Once you have all your components ready, it's time to identify where these components need to be placed. So if you turn the barrel up in this direction, as you can see there are 6 holes on the top, and I have marked the top right hand side one, and I've called that number 1. And what we're going to do, we are individually going to set 1 pin at the correct length, and once we've determined which pin is the correct pin, the right length and the right position, we are going to place them on the right hand side in the relevant position on the drawing. So this position we're doing now, we've put the spring in position 1, so this is the pin number 1, and this is the primary pin, and as you can see this is the 5A pin. So we shall try the 5A pin to see how that fits first, and we don't want the pin to be sticking out of the barrel once the key is inserted. So once you've put your pin in, try it with the key and see if it fits. And if it is sticking out like this one is here, this is a 5A, it's sticking out, that's not satisfactory, so we have to take that out and we have to try the alternative, which is 5B. So we are going to put 5B in. You will find the springs are a little bit fiddly to get in. They're a bit easier once you get the grease in later on. So here is the 5B pin. We're going to try that and see if it fits. Now with the all these pins that you're going to do on this barrel, they all have exactly the same procedure, where we are just putting the spring in, we're putting the pin in, and we're checking it with the key to make sure it's the correct fit. And once you've done that with all the pins, then we are ready to put them in with the grease. But for now we just want to dry fit them all, make sure they're all good, storing them to the right. And as you can see, this one here, which is pin number 1, we're going to store to the right hand side of the drawing that we made earlier, and we're also going to put this spring in the same place so we don't get the springs mixed up, because this one here has the larger spring, which is black in color, which is the same as the lock pin, which has the larger spring also. It goes without saying that don't knock any of the parts you're putting down on the markings on your cardboard, because this will cause problems at a later stage. Now it's time to sort out the 4 smaller pins in the top of the barrel, and to do these it's the same method. We just get a spring, which is a small spring this time, and we put the small spring into the right position, and here we're doing position 2, so we're going to put a small spring in position 2, and we're going to try and see which pin fits best. And once we get the spring in, we're going to select a middle size pin, which is the pin number 4. We shall put that in and we'll see how it fits with the key inserted. So select the pin that you want to try from your storage space with your pins, and here we're going to try number 4. And when you've used one of the pins, you will need to replace that pin with another pin from the packet of pins that you have spare. So now we have that inserted. It's now time to test it with the key and see if it fits. Now on this occasion you can see the key doesn't go into the barrel, and the reason being is if you have the pin itself not in correctly, it will stop the key from going in. So don't force the key in if you have any issues. Just take the key back out again and try repositioning the pin for a better fit. And as you can see, this one was sticking out too much, and that was number 4. So we then tried a different pin and we went down to number 3. Let's see what effect number 3 has on it. So number 4 was sticking out too much, so number 3 should make a difference, either more or less, and I'm expecting this to give us more sticking out. And as you can see there, it's still sticking out quite a lot, probably a bit more. So if it's sticking out too much, you need to use a higher pin number. So we're going to go and try a 5 from here and see how that fits. And basically the procedure is, for every pin you have to do this one at a time and store the pins on the right hand side with the springs, so you're ready to assemble it once you've got them all organized. So here's pin number 5. Does it fit? Now it's flush on that side, which you can see there, but on the other side it's slightly in a little bit, so we might get away with a number 6 on here. So we will try number 6. It's best to keep going and trying the one which is the best fit with least sticking out on both sides as possible. So we'll go for number 6 on this one, and hopefully this will be the correct one. And the more of these pins you do, the easier they will get. So here's number 6, and as you can see, it's flush on the top, perfect, and it's flush on the bottom, perfect as well. So in that position number 2, we need the pin number 6, and that's going to go to the right hand side in position 2, and we're going to store that with the spring as well. So that goes there, and we're also going to write the number of the pin, so if the pins move about, we've got a record of what was there. And we're just going to finish off by removing the spring and putting the spring next to the pin for that particular position. So we're now going to repeat the procedure for positions 3, 4 and 5, and once we've done them, we're going to store the pins and the springs, as you can see here, in them positions. And as you can see, we're using pin number 4 in position 3, we're using pin number 1 in position 4, and pin number 3 in position 5. Now the final pin, position 6, is the lock pin, and the lock pin is this one here with the L on it, and we need one of the bigger springs in here, one of the black springs, the big springs. So we've put the spring in, and we've just put the lock pin in, and we're just going to try the key in, make sure that doesn't have any issues, and that all looks good. You will notice this one sticks out. It's supposed to do that. That is absolutely correct, because when this goes in the barrel, that's the spring-loaded pin that stops the barrel coming out. So once we have all the pins identified for the top of the barrel, it's now time to turn the barrel 180 degrees and work on the bottom 4 pins. So here we have the barrel again. This here is the top of the barrel, and we want to turn this 180 degrees to get to the bottom, where we have 4 holes for the springs. And I've numbered these: 1, which is there, 2, which is there, 3, which is there, and 4, which is there. And we're going to carry out exactly the same procedure as we did with the top side of the barrel. The first one we're going to do is going to be number 1, and that's on the top right hand side of these 4. And we're going to try again. We're going to go for number 3 first on this one and see how that goes. So we've put the spring in, and we put one of the small springs in here. That's all you should have left now, is 4 small springs. And we're going to check that, and that looks pretty good actually, I think. No, we're sticking out on that one as well. So as you can see, you really have to be careful that you get them all absolutely correct. So that was sticking out too much. Now I'm going down a size here, going down to a 1, and really if it's sticking out you should be going up a number. But I found that on the bottom side, for some reason, it tends to do the opposite. I'm not sure why that is, but as you can see here, that one is now correct. So I'm going to leave that one as it is. So whichever way you do it, as long as you keep checking above the figure you're using and below the figure you're using, and make sure it's absolutely as low as possible on both sides of the barrel, then that's the pin to use, regardless of how you find which one fits. So we're going to advance forward now and complete the final 3, and we've got them all done now. And once you have them all ready to go, make sure all the pieces are in place. Make sure you've got all the pins and all the springs ready to go. And as you can see here, I had 1 spring missing. I don't know where it went, but it's it's not there. So what I've done, I've put the spring there, and that's now all ready to go. So we don't need any of the pieces that we've got left, so we can take away all these pieces that are in this little storage area, and now we can move on to doing the final assembly of the barrel. Now for the final assembly, we need to put some grease within the barrel, and to do that you just open this little tube of grease which you get with the kit, and you pierce the end, and you just squirt a bit of grease in all the holes where you're going to be putting the springs, and put a tiny bit on where your pins are going to be placed. Once you've greased up the top section, it's time to put the pins in, following the numbers or positions that you laid down on the cardboard earlier. So we're going to start on the primary pin. This is position number 1, and remember, in this position we need to use the larger of the springs, the black spring. So we're going to put the spring in first. They go in a little bit easier now we have the grease there, because the grease supports them and stops them rolling around everywhere. So we'll put that pin in first, and we're going to now move on to the next pin. Now I decided to do position number 3 next, but the order in which you put these in does not matter, as long as you do them all one at a time. So we're doing position 3 here. We put the spring in, and now we're putting the pin in, and I am going to put a few of these in before I put the key in to test it, because these should be all correct. And as you can see, once you've got them all organized and you know exactly what goes where, the procedure of putting the barrel together is a lot easier and it's a lot quicker. The only issue you might have, which we did have when I put this one together, you might have a situation like when the key does not go in, and that's basically due to the fact that when you put these pins in, sometimes they will go in at an angle and they will point in towards the barrel and you won't be able to get the key in. So you have to basically fiddle with it, or even take the pin right out again and put it back in. and this one was quite an awkward one. But with just a little bit of patience and a little bit of persistence, the pin will go in, and you will then be able to get the key into the lock. This one was particularly awkward. We persisted with this, and we got the pin in correct after a bit of fiddling around. And once the pin went in properly, the key went in properly also. So we only had one more to do on this one, or two more to do, and this was position number 2 and also position number 1. And once these two were installed, that meant the top of the barrel was completely finished. And here we're putting the last one in, the last spring, and also the last pin of the top. And there it goes. So we tried the key in here, and as you can see, the key went in all good, and there is the whole top set of pins installed. So all it needs now to do is to do the bottom set. But before we do the bottom set of pins, there is one more pin we need to put in the top, and that was the locking pin, which we should have done a little bit earlier. So we're going to turn it back around, and we're going to put the locking pin spring in, which is the bigger spring, the black one, and we're going to insert the locking pin. And once the locking pin is in, we're then going to turn this upside down and get the grease on the underside, or the other side of the barrel, ready to put the springs and the pins in. So here we are, putting a little bit of grease in all the holes, and once we've done that, we're going to put the springs and pins in. So starting with pin number 1, first we're going to put the spring in, and if you remember from the top side, we have to use all the small springs up now. The big springs have been used, so we put the small spring in first, and then we'll take pin number 1 and put it into its relevant slot. And then when we have done pin number 1, we're going to continue to pin number 2, and so on until we have inserted all the pins on the bottom of the barrel. The springs go in a lot easier now we've got the grease, which is a bit of a benefit. And if you look here, just so you know, the tabs, where there's a little notch there, the notch goes on the outside, and that part is the part that butts up to the spring. So now we're going to put number 3 in, the spring going first, and then followed by the pin. And as you can see, they are a bit fiddly, but it takes a little bit of patience, and you will get there. Now I found when I put this pin in here, it was all plain sailing to here, and when I put the next pin in, I had a little bit of an issue with alignment of the pins, and what was causing it was pin number 3. So what I had to do was to remove pin 3 and reposition it again. So I used a pair of tweezers to pull the pin out, and then I jiggled it about a bit, and eventually it went back into its proper position. Once I'd sorted out pin number 3, I then went back to pin number 4, put the spring in, put the pin in, and all was good. And the key went in no problem, and all the pins were correct. As you can see here, they are the pins sticking out. When I put the key in, all the pins are within the barrel itself and not sticking out, which is what you want to look for. So that was the inner barrel complete. All that remains to do now is to get the barrel inside the barrel housing. Now this barrel housing is supplied with the new pannier on the NT1100. If you should purchase one, it's already mounted. Make sure before you insert the barrel that the barrel housing is in this position shown here with the little hole at the top, and make sure the barrel is orientated exactly the way this one is orientated, with the locking pin at the bottom. And if you insert the barrel, as you can see here, at a slight angle first of all, you push it in, and then if you push this straight forward, it will engage with the cam at the back of the barrel housing. And once you get that in, you will not be able to get the barrel back out again. So that completes the assembly instructions for the NT1100 Panier barrel kit.